Why can't I sue TransUnion for defamation? Hi, this is consumer protection attorney Bill Clanton, and I've helped hundreds of consumers deal with inaccurate credit reporting, debt collection harassment, and other consumer-related matters. Now, one question that I get is, why can't I sue TransUnion for defamation? Well, this is because of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And we have to go into a little bit of history of the Fair Credit Reporting Act to really answer this question. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA, or some folks say FCRA, I like to call it the FCRA. The FCRA was enacted in the late 1970s. The public was concerned that TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, they were known by different names back then, but that they had incredible information on people that were stored on magnetic tapes in supercomputers, and that these tapes didn't always have accurate information about people. It's similar to concerns nowadays, but the senators started to want to do something about it. And when the legislation started gaining steam, looked like it was going to pass or actually get out of committee, the credit bureaus started to get involved. They wanted to limit or have some they agreed not to oppose the legislation if it contained certain protections for the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus recognized that they couldn't always be 100% accurate. So one of the things in the FCRA, you have to dispute inaccurate information in order to be able to bring a lawsuit. So TransUnion can say that you filed bankruptcy when you haven't. They can say that you owe money you don't owe. And you can't do anything about it until you dispute it and they don't correct it. That's one of the protections the credit bureaus have for themselves, that they were able to get into that law. And another one is that they got rid of certain laws, certain state laws. And one of those laws is defamation. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act takes the place of defamation laws under state law. So if you were to bring a case against TransUnion for defamation, TransUnion would be able to have that case dismissed because the Fair Credit Reporting Act takes the place of that law. Yep, it's one of the compromises that was made to get the Fair Credit Reporting Act passed and to make it law. So if you think about it, one of the only cases you could bring against TransUnion is for defamation. If TransUnion says something about you that's false, and they not just say it internally, but they publish that. That means they give it out to somebody else. They tell somebody else something false about you, then they are defaming you. And if that false information that they give out about you causes you a loss, meaning that you lose a credit opportunity, you lose a job, you get turned down for a lease or a mortgage, then they've caused you harm. You've got all the things you need for a defamation case. But you have to bring that case under another law. You can't bring it under defamation. You have to bring it under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is a much more complicated statute than a defamation case. So this is one of the compromises that was made to enact the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and that is why you can't just file a lawsuit for defamation against TransUnion when they publish false information about you. You're required to dispute it, and then you can file a lawsuit. And if TransUnion is publishing false information about you, it's important that you dispute it in writing and use a good dispute letter and dispute it more than one time. TransUnion will say, well, we get lots of disputes every day. There was never a second dispute, so you need to dispute it many times. If you have any questions about disputing information on your TransUnion credit report, give us a call. We're happy to help. And thanks for watching.